The startling arrest of the Real Housewives of Potomac's Wendy Osefo. That's her grinning in her mugshot after she and her husband Eddie were arrested on insurance fraud charges, allegedly faking a $450,000 home burglary.
Real Housewives of Potomac star Wendy Osefo is responding to her recent arrest, claiming that it was illegal. So Us Weekly has the exclusive information in regards to the court docs that Wendy's attorney filed on October 17th. And get this, she filed these court docs separately from her husband, Eddie Osefo. A blind item that's accused that Wendy or a housewife, they didn't say Wendy's name, may try and drag this out for purposes of being on Real Housewives of Potomac.
Now y'all wrong. Whose wig never sits right? I'm not trying to be shady. I'm just gonna say what I need to say. Stacey, I love you.
The energy that you and I have when we talk on the phone is not the energy that you meet me with when I see you outside. It's completely different energy. Like I shared with you, I said, hey, Wendy, are you going to be at the event? You said, oh, yes, I'll be there. And I said, oh, okay. I said, oh, I'm going to be sponsoring. He's like, oh, okay, great, see you there. And then I get there, and you're actually a speaker there.
The Housewives universe is spiraling again. And this time, the spotlight is on Wendy and Eddie Osefo, as accusations of fraud, fake burglaries, and financial chaos explode across headlines. Trust me, this scandal goes way deeper than what Bravo shows on camera. From suspicious spending to Housewives history repeating itself, we're breaking down every messy, chaotic twist. Grab your drink, settle in, and stay tuned till the end because the receipts we're about to unpack are wild.
FAs were booked into the Carroll County Detention Center and later released on $50,000 bonds. On $50,000 bond.
Wendy, I'm so sorry.
According to police,
According to Us Weekly, Osefo's attorney filed court docs as a part of her criminal case in Maryland. The reality star demanded that all charges be dismissed due to alleged defects in the charging document. According to the court docs, her attorney demanded that all evidence be suppressed because of an unlawful search or seizure. The Bravo star also asked for all wire and verbal communications to be...
And here's the unfortunate thing, Wendy. You fell victim to wanting to keep up with the Joneses for an expectation that you built in your head. Wendy, we never looked at you as the fashion girl. We never looked at you as the it girl. We never looked at you as the girl that drive nice. We never looked at you or expected you to be the girl that lived nice. That was never the box any of us put you in. So the fact that you fell victim to the materialism of it all.
Just when everyone thought Wendy Osefo might finally catch a break after Mia Thornton's scandal blew up, here comes another plot twist. And this one is messy. The Real Housewives of Potomac star is back in the headlines because the Baltimore Banner just dropped a bombshell report exposing the financial chaos behind her picture-perfect reality TV life. Prosecutors are now claiming that Wendy and her husband Eddie were juggling around 40 credit cards. Yes, 40. And allegedly using multiple aliases to move money around. If you thought this story couldn't get any wilder, you better buckle up.
Dr. Wendy Osefo, are you okay? Dr. Wendy Osefo and her husband, Eddie Osefo, were arrested for fraud, insurance fraud, stemming back to an April 2024 burglary that they reported. So as you may recall, Dr. Wendy opened up about being burglarized last year while she was in Jamaica with her and her family.
So the fact that you fell victim to the materialism of it all is really baffling to all of us because that is an expectation that only existed in your head. No one ever expected you. There's never been a day when anybody's been like, ooh, y'all saw that shit Wendy had on. Wendy was giving. We never looked at you like that, Wendy.
This all comes right after Mia Thornton's own drama, where she was arrested at Atlanta's airport for allegedly taking $11,000 worth of furniture from a condo she shared with her then boyfriend. Rumors swirled that he might have been arrested too, though nothing's been fully confirmed. People assumed that scandal might overshadow Wendy's situation. But nope, the Baltimore Banner said, actually, let's talk about this.
And I don't know what Wendy or Eddie could have said during their arrest, but they're also saying this in their filing. They claim that their clients were illegally arrested. The Reality Stars counsel said that all admissions, statements, or confessions should not be allowed as evidence because they were unlawfully obtained. Osefo and her husband, as you know, were arrested in Maryland on October 9th on fraud charges. Both were released from jail, posting $50,000 bond.
According to the latest filings, Wendy and Eddie have been pushing back hard. They've been arguing that there were errors in the charging documents and even requested a separate trial. And sure, that's what most legal teams do. File motion after motion, hoping something gets dismissed or evidence gets tossed out. But prosecutors weren't having it. They fired back with more receipts, basically saying, "Hold on, there's more you need to see." Now the state wants even more financial records, claiming they'll show a clear pattern of excessive spending that could explain the alleged insurance fraud. One new filing even spells it out. Prosecutors are seeking additional financial records that will show a pattern of excessive spending and support a motive in their criminal fraud case. Honestly, the internet has been whispering about this for months. Fans have speculated that the couple may have been trying to keep up with the Joneses, especially given how luxurious their storyline has looked on screen. Their attorneys tried to clap back, calling the prosecutors' requests a fishing expedition. But the prosecutors responded with a jaw-dropper. They claimed the couple had credit cards under company names and even used aliases like Pam Oliver and Eddie Hennessy. People couldn't resist reacting because Pam Oliver, Eddie Hennessy, at this point it sounded like the cast list from a low-budget spy movie. Prosecutors say these names were allegedly used in a deliberate attempt to mask their identity, which only makes the situation even messier. And just when everyone thought the situation couldn't get any shadier, prosecutors added another layer to the mess. They're now claiming that Wendy falsely denied using PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App to buy jewelry. That detail alone has people raising eyebrows. The state believes that once they get their hands on those records, they'll find a trail, not just of purchases, but returns, perfectly lining up with the theory that this whole situation might involve a pattern of excessive spending tied to the alleged insurance fraud.
No one ever expected you. There's never been a day when anybody's been like, "Ooh, y'all saw that shit Wendy had on? Wendy was giving." We never looked at you like that, Wendy. Like, honestly and truthfully, Wendy, you could have wore Levi's jeans and t-shirts out the pack and you still would have been received the same. So to fall victim to trying to keep up, and then it was like a half-baked insurance fraud scam. And here's the unfortunate thing.
According to the filings, prosecutors fully expect the financial records to show a clear motive. And honestly, the more details that come out, the more it starts to look like there's a whole iceberg hiding under the surface. People have been saying from the very beginning that the initial indictment barely scratched the surface, and prosecutors seem determined to prove it.
The event, you say, "Oh yes, I'll be there." And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Oh, I'm going to be sponsoring." He's like, "Oh, okay, great, see you there." And then I get there, and you're actually a speaker there.
What's wrong with that?
If I say I'm sponsoring your speaker, what would be the reason to not share?
When you said you're sponsoring the event, it's not like I just said, "See you there." No, I said, "Yes, come on, sponsor. I hyped you." I didn't think it was in my moment to say, "Oh, by the way, I'm speaking." That's just me.
Okay, I'll take that, right? But here's where I think it looks different. So at the event, no, "Hey girl," no, "Hi," no.
But I'm on the stage. You would want me to, as I'm speaking, stop what I'm doing and wave?
If I see my friend in the crowd, I'm going to wave to her. I'm going to do a friendly nod to her.
Girl, this is what's getting you upset?
They're insisting that this is a financial crime and that Wendy and Eddie's debt, whether joint, individual, or tied to their businesses, is crucial to understanding what may have motivated the alleged scheme. Viewers of the new season of Real Housewives of Potomac will remember Wendy proudly talking about how well their Happy Eddie herb business was doing, but prosecutors paint a very different picture financially. Eddie's attorney tried to push back, calling the requests overly broad and oddly timed, even claiming prosecutors were looking for something they hadn't figured out after 18 months of investigating. He also pointed out that authorities didn't speak to the couple from the moment the break-in was reported until the charges dropped. Meanwhile, Wendy's attorney kept things quiet, which honestly might have been the safest move. A judge is expected to address the subpoena issues in a December 2nd hearing, but the charges themselves are no small thing. Wendy and Eddie were indicted on 7 counts of insurance fraud, 8 counts of conspiracy, and 1 count of making a false statement to police. All of this stems from the alleged burglary at their Owing Mills home back on April 7, 2024, the same day they were relaxing in Jamaica. According to police, thieves supposedly ransacked their bedroom and closet and made off with nearly $450,000 worth of designer bags and jewelry.
The couple told them that after a vacation, they found their bedroom and both closets to be ransacked and several designer handbags and jewelry had been stolen. But police say they saw a social media post of Wendy wearing a diamond ring after she allegedly said it was stolen. Officials say other stolen items had been returned to stores for refunds or found inside their home after a search warrant.
But here's where the story cracks open. When police arrested Wendy and Eddie, they reportedly found 15 of those stolen items still inside the house. And when investigators dug deeper, they discovered that many of the items the couple claimed were stolen had actually been returned for refunds before the alleged burglary even happened. Add to that the discovery of substantial debt, and the picture starts looking rough.
April 2024 burglary that they reported. So as you may recall, Dr. Wendy opened up about being burglarized last year while she was in Jamaica with her and her family. Well, according to the court docs, first of all, Wendy is facing 16 charges. 15 of the items that they claimed that they lost during the burglary were found in the home. They also claim that one of the diamonds that she claimed that she lost in the burglary, she was seen after the burglary wearing it on social media. Not only that, they have emails and records of certain claims that both Eddie and Wendy made to different insurance companies for the same things that they were claiming with one other company. So they were basically double dipping when it comes to these insurance claims.
Both Wendy and Eddie are currently out on a $50,000 bond each. And while fans know Wendy as Dr. Wendy, with her impressive academic and political background, this scandal could easily jeopardize future opportunities. She even resigned from the reality TV course she was teaching at Wesleyan University, which, given everything happening, doesn't surprise anyone.
They both received bail at $50,000 each.
Outside the courtroom drama, the couple still shares 3 children, and Eddie continues running multiple business ventures, including the Happy Eddie MJ line. You know, Mary Jane, Herb, yeah, that stuff. But here's the wild part. Despite how explosive this storyline is, the alleged burglary barely made it into Real Housewives of Potomac Season 10. Instead, Bravo focused on Wendy's birthday and family scenes. Some people think production made that choice deliberately, especially with Karen Hugger's legal trouble happening around the same time. As some fans put it, 2 different criminal storylines in one season? Bravo said absolutely not. What makes this whole situation even crazier is how the alleged burglary barely got any airtime on Real Housewives of Potomac. Season 10 is literally airing while these charges are hanging over Wendy and Eddie, and yet the show acted like nothing happened. Fans were stunned that something this serious was basically swept under the rug.
Give me your honest reaction. Were you shocked about the Wendy of it all? Because I've heard some rumblings that some of you guys weren't really that shocked.
To the degree, absolutely. Of course. Huge. Shocked. Disappointed. Yeah.
I was FaceTiming her this morning. We were getting our glam, getting ourselves together, and it was wonderful to see her, and I can't wait to wrap my arms around her when she walks through the door.
I'm praying for her, really, and whatever transpires, I just hope that her family is okay at the end of the day.
Wow. Didn't see that coming. Definitely wasn't on my mood board for 2025, but I will say that, it's an unfortunate situation, and at this point, I think it's going to be Wendy's story to tell, because I'm sure there's a lot more that, we all are going to learn about it.
Then, in the latest episode, which was filmed after the alleged burglary, Wendy casually mentioned that she and Eddie were dropping $100,000 on home renovations. And immediately, everyone watching had the same question. If the couple was already drowning in massive debt, where exactly was that $100,000 coming from? Some people argued it might be a strategic investment if it boosted the home's value, but others said the timing and optics were questionable. At BravoCon last weekend, Wendy finally broke her silence. She told fans she would eventually speak on the situation, but made sure to keep things vague, saying only, "When the time is right, I will speak on it." She didn't promise any reunion tell-all. She just hinted that she'd share her side eventually. And honestly, with charges this heavy, she might not have a choice.
Well, according to the court docs, first of all, Wendy is facing 16 charges and Eddie's facing 18 charges. Some of those are felonies, some of those are misdemeanors, claims that she and he made false statements to the police officer. So here's the thing, when the police did a search before this arrest, 15 of the items that they claimed that they lost during the burglary were found in the home.
What's wild is that some fans actually think this scandal might extend her run on the show. With Bravo loving dramatic storylines and viewers glued to the mess, people believe Wendy's storyline could stretch out a few more seasons. Assuming, of course, the situation doesn't escalate into something that takes her off TV for entirely different reasons.
A blind item that's accused that Wendy or a housewife, they didn't say Wendy's name, may try and drag this out for purposes of being on Real Housewives of Potomac, but also that she will turn on her husband. So this filing and that blind item both came out this week. I'm not an attorney. This could be a legal strategy for wanting their case to be separate. Maybe Eddie will take the fall. Who knows? But we're going to continue to follow this case. That is the latest update on the Wendy and Eddie Osefo criminal charges that they're facing. She's facing 16 different charges. He's facing 18 different charges. If you missed any of this, be sure to check out some of our previous videos.
Her official statement at BravoCon echoed that controlled approach. It's an unfortunate situation, and right now I can't say too much. But when the time is right, I will share my story with everyone. At this point, everything is still considered an allegation, and the case is far from resolved. But Wendy isn't the only Potomac star facing legal trouble. Karen Hugger, the Grand Dame herself, quietly served 6 months in jail this year for her 4th DUI. She wasn't part of season 10 filming, but she did sit down with Andy Cohen for a post-release interview that's expected to air during the season finale. Whether it becomes a full standalone special or just a segment is still unknown. But if there's one thing fans agree on, it's that Karen still has plenty of things to answer for.
Is she doing it because she feels like she needs help, or is she doing it because she feels like it will lighten the blow of the sentence?
There's speculation that Karen might skip the season 10 reunion entirely and instead make her big return in season 11, especially if she wants to avoid tough questions from her previous reunion drama. And with season 10's reunion set to focus heavily on everything that went down this season, she might be strategizing her comeback very carefully. The Baltimore Banner also conveniently left out Mia Thornton's recent arrest. But trust me, Potomac fans haven't forgotten. Between Mia's alleged $11,000 furniture fiasco, Wendy's fraud case, and Karen's DUI, the franchise has turned into a legal circus. And viewers can catch up on all of it through previous updates covering every twist and turn. Honestly, fraud has practically become a standard plotline in the Real Housewives universe at this point. Wendy and Eddie's October 9 arrest for insurance fraud is just one more case in a long line of Bravo stars caught up in scams, schemes, and suspicious finances. One attorney summed it up perfectly when discussing why so many reality stars end up in legal trouble. The personalities of people who are attracted to being on reality TV seem to have the same sort of optimism bias that people who think they can get away with crimes have. Potomac isn't just serving drama, it's serving indictments.
Reminder that the arrest came after a grand jury indicted the couple on charges of insurance fraud, conspiracy fraud, and making false statements to a police officer. But get this part, Wendy's attorney also is asking for a trial of co-defendants be severed from the trials of this defendant. Basically that she wants 2 separate trials, one for her and one for her co-defendant, Eddie. Well, Wendy's attorneys are asking for more. In a separate filing, her attorney demanded the prosecutors turn over any alleged evidence they possess. She demanded a list of witnesses that the prosecutors plan to call and any polygraph results.
Wendy and Eddie's situation isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a much bigger pattern in Bravo history. Back in 2024, they claimed their Maryland home was burglarized while they were on vacation, insisting that thieves ran off with $450,000 worth of designer bags, jewelry, and luxury items. But investigators later said the whole thing looked like a setup. Items Wendy and Eddie reported stolen were actually returned to stores for refunds. And fans even pointed out social media posts showing Wendy wearing a ring she'd listed as missing. It was giving plot hole more than robbery.
Your husband is being disgraced and disbarred, which brings up another thing. You don't around and got your mama kicked out the village. It's almost as if your mother's sole purpose in life was to birth a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. She put so much pressure on you to become what you did just so she could float around the village and have bragging rights that her daughter is a professor. Well, guess what? Her daughter's also about to be a felon. Lord, I bet your mama can't even take her garbage to the damn road, bitch, without getting the eggs of shame thrown at her ass. Everybody's laughing at you. They're gonna laugh at you. I bet the mama probably self-deported.
And if you think that sounds wild, it's honestly pretty on brand for the Real Housewives universe. Fraud has practically become a reoccurring storyline across franchises. Jen Shah from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City was arrested on camera in 2021 and is now serving 6.5 years in prison for running a nationwide telemarketing scam targeting the elderly. Before her, Teresa Goodice from New Jersey spent 11 months behind bars in 2015 for bankruptcy fraud, while her ex-husband Joe served 3 years for fraud and tax offenses before their divorce. Other housewives like Erica Jane and Vicky Gunvalson have faced civil fraud allegations, cases that were eventually dismissed, but their reputations took major hits. And that's not even counting the long list of housewives arrested over the years for everything from maltreatment to DUIs. According to legal experts, this trend isn't surprising. Reality TV fame can make some stars feel untouchable, even before filming starts. Contracts give them little control over how they're portrayed, and the attention can breed a kind of reckless confidence. One attorney put it bluntly: the personalities attracted to reality TV often have the same optimism bias as people who think they can get away with crimes. And now, Wendy and Eddie have found themselves added to that growing list. They were arrested on October 9th for insurance fraud, and whether they'll walk free or become the next Housewives cautionary tale is still anyone's guess. Even beyond Potomac, the Bravo universe has a long, messy history with fraud claims and legal chaos. At this point, Bravo stars getting into trouble almost feels like an annual tradition. Legal experts say this isn't surprising. Reality TV can create a dangerous sense of invincibility even before the cameras start rolling. When someone signs on to a Housewives show, they're handing over full creative control. The production decides how they look, how they're edited, and how much mess gets aired. And according to Angela Agnotti from the Bravo Docket podcast, that kind of exposure can warp a person's mindset. She explained that many reality stars tell themselves, "That won't happen to me. People are gonna like me." Pretty soon everything becomes a competition. Who has the nicer house, the better purse, the flashier lifestyle? It turns into this endless cycle of keeping up with the Joneses until maintaining the facade starts feeling impossible. And that pressure has only gotten worse. Early Housewives seasons in the mid-2000s showed a mix of lifestyles, including single moms struggling to make ends meet. But once Erica Jane joined Beverly Hills in 2015 with a full-time glam squad and a claim that she spent $40,000 a month on hair, makeup, and clothes, the franchise shifted into a new level of extravagance. Suddenly, showing anything less than wealth on steroids looked out of place. Erica's own storyline became a legal saga. After filing for divorce from Tom Girardi in 2020, she was pulled into the massive fraud lawsuits tied to his law firm. A judge eventually ruled she had no knowledge of Tom's crimes, but that didn't stop the world from dissecting every detail of her lifestyle on TV. Meanwhile, Girardi himself was sentenced to over 7 years for embezzling millions from clients, and he's now serving time in a federal detention center.
Talk to me about that. Why hide the fact that you're in a broken marriage?
All marriages are complex. People are complex. There were good times, there were bad times. You're talking about 2 decades of a marriage.
Okay.
So no one's marriage is perfect.
Do you think you went far in the other direction to protect him on this show?
I think that I highlighted the best of him.
Why didn't you leave Tom sooner?
Where was I going?
Where weren't you going? You're on a hit TV show. You have
Andy,
a career.
Hold on. I was not in control of my finances. I walk out with 2 credit cards They get cut. Am I going to call you? Am I going to call you? Who am I going to go call?
I know what you make on this show. It ain't bad.
I gave every paycheck to my husband.
Oh, wow.
Why?
crazy to
Forever?
me.
Why?
Since you've been making money?
Yes. I've handed every paycheck I've ever made over.
Would you say you stayed with him for the money and the security?
No, I stayed because I had no access.
Despite all that chaos, or maybe because of it, Erica remains one of the longest-running cast members in Beverly Hills. As one insider put it, Bravo cameras will film everything: the good, the bad, the tragic, the messy, and yes, even the illegal. Criminal charges don't automatically end a housewife's career. If anything, viewers tune in even harder when a scandal hits.
Did you feel you were held captive?
I'll say this. I was 27 when I went in.
Cocktail
He was
waitress.
60. The power balance is way out of whack. I trusted this man. All of my finances were kept down at the firm, and everything was kept there.
But then that sounds like you did stay for the...
Hold on. You're characterizing it as for the money. I'm telling you I could not leave because I had no access to the money.
Regardless of how much money there is, many women feel like they can't leave because they don't have access and they don't have the independence.
Right, matter. Listen, it doesn't matter how much is on deposit. If
Right.
you can't access it, you
got
can't.
nothing.
What are you gonna do?
Weren't you, though, entitled to half of everything? You were with him for
Well, clearly
over 10
I'm
years.
entitled to half of the debt because everybody's suing me for it.
Right. Over the years, he's having multiple affairs. You're saying, I stayed in it, it was an old-fashioned relationship, I didn't have access to anything. What I'm saying to you is, if you had left, wouldn't you legally have been entitled to half of what there
And
was?
I responded yes. I'm on for half the liability and on for half the assets.
But you didn't know that there was liability at the time.
Which
Did
time?
you?
No, and that is a big part of this whole, all of these lawsuits.
Jen Shaw proved just how far a Bravo scandal can stretch. Even after getting arrested on camera, she stayed on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City for an entire season, insisting she was innocent for over a year before finally pleading guilty. Meanwhile, over in New Jersey, the Goodices basically became the blueprint for televised legal drama.
I am innocent. I did not do any of the things that have been alleged against me.
Real Housewife Jen Shaw is in for a whole new reality. After spending more than a year proclaiming her innocence on TV for the world to see, today that all changed.
The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City cast member accepted a plea deal with federal prosecutors.
Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star Jen Shaw pleads guilty in her federal fraud case. And now she's facing up to 14 years in prison.
Not seeing Reefy or Omar for 8 years. Do you know how f***ing scared I am?
Jen appeared in front of a judge in Manhattan federal court for the surprise hearing on Monday, where she changed her previous not guilty plea.
The show documented everything: the investigations, the court dates, the prison sentences, and the messy aftermath. Teresa Giudice even wrote a memoir about her 11 months behind bars, calling it Camp, and then walked right back on the show like she never left. And to this day, fans still treat her like Bravo royalty. According to insiders, that's exactly why Bravo rarely turns away from scandal. Viewers love a redemption arc, the downfall, the accountability moment, the slow rebuild. One source put it perfectly: people are more forgiving when a housewife steps up and owns what happened. Whether it was a misunderstanding or a full-on disaster, audiences love seeing someone face it head-on and then start repairing the damage. Bravo thrives on that roller coaster. And honestly, after all these scandals, arrests, fake burglaries, glam squads, and fraud charges, it feels like the entire Real Housewives universe has been saying, "Here we go," for years. And folks, every year, the mess just gets bigger. And that's the full breakdown of the Osefo scandal and the growing pattern of housewives getting tangled in real-life mess. Whether this ends in redemption or a full Bravo meltdown, one thing's for sure: the drama is far from over. If you love deep dives like this and want more receipts, more scandals, and more unfiltered tea, don't forget to hit like, and hey, subscribe to the channel. Tap that notification bell so you never miss a spill.